Hello, welcome to Breakfast Central. It's the midweek edition. This is the best place to start your day. We bring you all the latest news, insightful discussions, and news analysis. Everything you need to update you on happenings in Nigeria and, of course, around the great continent of Africa. I am Benga Aboroa.
It feels good to be here. Johansson saying good morning to you and your family. And, of course, good morning to all our very interesting viewers who have decided to join us. Don't worry, Olive is around the corner. She will be joining us pretty soon as we proceed on Breakfast Central. Very interesting things happened yesterday. If you are in any part of Nigeria, you might want to feel free to join us for the next 3 hours or thereabout. We also have an opportunity for you to call in and feel free to deliberate, share your thoughts, and also share your opinions. Yes, because everyone sure has an opinion, and we want you to do that at the 9 o'clock, during the 9 o'clock hour, when the phone lines will be open. But in the meantime, we're welcoming you as we begin Breakfast Central on a Wednesday morning. Very first would definitely be our wake-up conversations.
Yeah, we start with wake-up conversations. But before we start with wake-up conversations, how was your night?
They said you shouldn't ask how was your night, but I was not happy because the night was not good because Super Eagles did not do well.
I mean, we didn't lose, so and there's hope, you know.
Which hope?
There's hope, even though hope is not a strategy. If we win all our remaining games and South Africa lose their remaining games, we'll have a chance.
You know, you had complained about that football pitch.
Yes, looking like a rice paddy.
I don't know what happened though, but it wasn't given. It didn't work.
And that William Trustekong was very painful. I mean, these things happen in football.
These things happen. I don't think I saw Nigerians chastising him, saying all sorts and so on and so forth. I don't think it's. I
really don't like that. When we lose, and people become.
Let's learn how to lose. Let's
be. I mean, it's spirit of sportsmanship, and we didn't even lose.
It's 1-1.
Yeah. So.
But I said I was not going to talk about it though. That's the truth, and I really don't want to. But
I was looking forward to, you know, watching my first World Cup. I was hoping we'll get a group in the United States or Canada and Mexico. But it would be nice for us to be in the United States. It could still happen. You never know.
Anyway, let's never say never. That's exactly what we're going to start off with today. But then again, in as much as our spirits have been dampened for a little bit, we do not want to dwell so much on what happened yesterday with the Super Eagles. But then again, let's just move on with the latest conversation. So on Wake Up Conversations, we're going to start off first with a very interesting story. If you recall, just over the weekend, we mentioned the heightened insecurity, especially in Benin. There were two very sad incidences that also saw the loss of lives, especially with the NSCDC members who had lost a total of about 8 persons, and then there was an abduction. The police swung into action, and currently we still have updates on that story, which we'll share with you later on. But aside that, there was also another one where passengers were equally abducted, but good enough, the police also came right on time, and we hear that they were able to rescue these passengers. However, while all of these were happening, the Oba of Benin did put out a press release, and we'll try and see if we'll have that press release so we can put it there on the screen. There you go. It says Office of the Private Secretary of the Oba of Benin. And it says this palace public announcement is issued on the authority of His Royal Majesty Omo Oba Nyedo. I'm just going to move on quickly so I do not murder the name. My sight here is not that sharp. But he says His Royal Majesty Omonba Edo, all right, uses this medium to inform the general public. Okay, yeah, I think I can see it clearly now.
I think I'll take it from there.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Uses this medium to inform the general public that from the 15th of September 2025 to 28th of September 2025, all sons and daughters of Benin Kingdom, and by extension, indigenes and non-indigenes living in Edo State are to embark on 2 weeks fasting and praying. This is in line with our age-long tradition that before commencement of the consumption of the yearly new yam called Emoro, it's important that we fast and pray for God Almighty and the royal ancestors for bountiful harvest and to shield away from sudden death and for peace and tranquility in our individual homes, family, states, and the country at large. All Benin sons and daughters at home and in the diaspora to fast and pray during this period. The 2 weeks fasting period is from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily. The Oba prays to God Almighty to grant us peace and happiness as we all embark on fasting and prayer. And signed by Chief Efosa Ego Igbino Wala, the Oba of Benin. It says, Oba Tope Ise. I was observing our camera person. He's from Benin Kingdom. It was really agitated because it's somebody that likes food. When they said even Benin sons and daughters in the diaspora must fast 6 weeks. I must not see Eric with anything food during this period. You have to obey your king.
There are many guys, Israel.
Israel, Bernard I like to eat gala from time to time.
But then again, this came as a surprise to many because the state is going through a lot, and Nigerians have reacted. They said they do not understand why all of a sudden, when there's heightened insecurity, what we're thinking about is to follow an age-long tradition. Whether we like it or not, we cannot erase tradition. Tradition is dead.
We have to respect the institution.
But Nigerians are concerned. What Nigerians are saying is, why can't we just tackle the situation? Remember, we always say hope is not a strategy. But of course, same thing is, when you're faced with insecurity, what do? Do you resort to prayers? We recall a similar situation where someone in this country as well said, let's pray. Let's pray for the insecurity. We've seen, in quotes, men of God say, let's pray that
but is there anything
things,
wrong in men of God
will happen. You want my opinion in that?
Yeah, of course.
There's nothing wrong in saying let's pray. But even in the Bible,
Prayers without works.
Even David had strategy to tackle the challenges he was faced with.
At the time, David was king, military leader, spiritual leader, everything in one. Right now, the kind of governance system that we operate has delineation of several responsibilities and powers. In this case, I'll come and talk about the spiritual leaders, but the Oba is not just the traditional ruler. He's also, the Oba is the cultural and religious leader of the Benin people. He is the father of the Benin people. His word carries weight. So he preserves culture, preserves tradition, and preserves spirituality. And to herald the New Yam Festival, they will typically do a fast. I don't see anything wrong in the Oba.
We're not saying that.
Calling for a fast.
Exactly.
You know, I see nothing wrong
part
with
of
that.
the responsibilities
I don't also
of
think
his
that,
office.
Exactly. I don't think that it's entirely his responsibility to deal with insecurity. So I would say that everybody should do their own part. While pastors and spiritual leaders are calling for fasting, we can be fasting and praying and ensuring that the government is doing their part and security agencies are doing their part. Everybody, it's a collective effort. You know, praying does not take away from the work that the government needs to do or that the security agencies need to do. And I'm saying this because usually I always hear if Daddy Adeboye calls for fast now, or, you know, let me not call Daddy Adeboye, one of the spiritual leaders, any of the spiritual leaders call for a fast or a prayer for Nigeria, everybody just gets angry. Oh, we fast and pray too much. Oh yeah, don't fast and don't pray now. Don't fast and pray, leave it like that.
And
so I think that everything can work hand in hand.
If the spiritual father calls for prayer and fasting, it's within their rights, it's their purview. If the traditional leader, ruler, who is revered, calls for praying and fasting, which is an age-long tradition.
Absolutely.
It's within his purview.
It's only when the chief of
the
army
National
staff.
Security Advisor,
So
chief of army staff, chief of defense staff.
Those are the ones that we know that, okay. Thankfully, they don't seem to do that.
I really hope gentlemen like Rema and Charlie Poppy, Benin boys, would really heed to this advice. We need this prayer. Some of the roads in Benin are not good.
Osage is another person that really needs to be a part of this prayer. Because
let's see what Nigerians are saying on X. reacting to this statement made by the Oba of Benin. Let's see, we'll have some of the messages or reactions to the particular story. One of them is Oshoma. Oshoma says, "This is the most ridiculous thing I've read on the internet today. It's even more absurd coming from my state of origin. It's a shame that a well-respected Oba can't even monster an atom of boldness to call the chief security officer of the state for dialogue.
Where did you read that monster in slow motion?
Minutes. Rather, he's playing to the gallery, calling for citizens to fast and pray. If the political class is clowning, must you join them while sitting on one of the most powerful thrones of reverence? Someone please wake me up. Don't wake me up."
Oshoma doesn't have respect for constituted authorities.
Domper says, "Everything calls for prayers. Government borrow money and squander. Pray. Kidnappers and armed robbers. Pray. Bad roads. Pray. Hunger. Pray. No accountability. Just a random thought that the gods might be angry." And I share these thoughts. I think that's my point. That was the point I was trying to make earlier on. And thank you so much for just explaining it and saving me the stress of talking. My dear brothers and sisters, it has gotten to this. The evil in our dear state is being the human comprehension. It's more like everyone has a DNA of it flowing inside them. Sometimes I feel when evil got into Nigerian soil, it first camped somewhere within...
What kind of ridiculous message is this?
Oh my goodness, netizens. So the first camp somewhere in Edo State. So when let's analyze that.
From Edo State,
So it's like
come there.
the guy just entered.
Next we enter night bus. Came to Lagos. Adubi
it's too early in the
Olisa
morning.
says, but if now one particular highly recognized pastor say this now, another thing una go dey talk. I beg, make him go rest. If you don't know what to do or say again, fasting and prayer call, praying and fasting name. Again.
But while we're praying and fasting, let's also remember that prayers without works is nothing.
I agree.
Everybody has their role to play, even as citizens.
I agree.
Be vigilant, be security conscious, do your own part, be an upright citizen. If you see people vandalizing critical infrastructure, like the rail,
Fight
if you
them.
see them, transformers, no, report, take pictures, report to the authorities. We all have a part to play.
I agree
And
with
these
you.
kidnappers and these bandits, they are not ghosts. They are members of society. So let
I agree
everybody
with
step
you.
up and do what
And
they have
just,
to do.
if at all, what I would say is the way they should criticize the Oba, and I have no right to ask them to criticize the Oba.
Absolutely.
I'm not from Edo State, and even if I were from Edo State,
You're in Nigeria.
I revere the authority of the Oba.
Absolutely.
I don't disrespect that at all. However, I think the angle that the criticism maybe could have come from, or the level to which they could have held accountability, because that press release never said they are fasting and praying. Yes, it said, to pray for protection over evil or anything. It's to maybe say, we shouldn't have celebrated this New Year festival. We are not in a position to celebrate now because of the evil that has befallen our state. How about we shelve the celebration and take some time to mourn the people who have fallen victim and then hold the government to account. The Oba's responsibility is not to provide security. The state is to provide security. The Oba can hold the state.
Misplaced anger.
Exactly. So it feels like we're just lashing out right now, and we need to take a breather. We can pray, we can fast, and we can hold the
it's not-
government to
it's not
account. In fact,
compulsory.
all can happen at the same time. Holding the government to account to provide
And
security.
the Oba didn't say the fasting and praying is compulsory.
Just say that you cannot fast, that you want to eat, and it's okay. Even me too, I don't like fasting. But
Well, I think the points have been made, and we'll leave it at that.
By the way, which kingdom are you from? I'm waiting for the news from your kingdom. I'm waiting for your Oba to also direct you to
I'm
fast.
from the kingdom of God.
I was about to say I'm from Zion.
Kingdom of
I
God.
and I.
and I, the lion in the Zion. Okay. Let's move on to other important issues of state while my two colleagues are in their feelings. Yeah, one of the star ministers of this Bola Ahmed
Star
Tinubu
boy.
administration, a star performer, a minister, is well known, engineer. He goes back with the face cap that has the D for Dave, Engineer Dave Mahi, the Honourable Minister of Works, inspected the Third Mainland Bridge after flooding. But let's take a look at this video and then we'll come back for reactions An analysis.
All right. That's the video circulated online. This video came as a result of what happened yesterday in Lagos. Lagos was flooded. After there were reports that by NIMET that we should expect heavy rains, flash floods from last month and the month before. But Nigerians are concerned because Lagosians in particular, I beg your pardon, because there wasn't any rain. The rains didn't pour heavily up until the day before yesterday. And
this is very Maryland.
Yesterday it was very thick. I was fortunate. Let me mention it here. You can see I was fortunate yesterday that the driver who ensured that I leave the mainland back to the island decided to follow a different route completely, and that kind of like helped me. But what we saw yesterday got Nigerians talking, and they kept wondering what's going on. After all, we've not had rains in a long time. How come just 2 days?
It was piling up.
And it's like the rain fell for 7 days. And the reason why you saw them, and I wondered if the minister got a memo and flew in. I don't know how, or he lives in Lagos. Talk about engineering.
I mean, Lagos is a commercial nerve center.
Yeah, anyway, he was here with the speed of a flash, the superhero. And he came to ensure that he checks the bridge. Checking the bridge there, they are ascertaining where the cracks are coming from, what's happening, and so on and so forth. Hopefully,
on the spot assessment.
This person that is climbing on top of the...
Who's that? That's one of the aides, overzealous aide. Is probably looking for a promotion. I hope he didn't fall into.
They told him to get down.
Please,
they come down.
Oh, he has to show walking to the minister there. I'm very passionate. I'm a passionate engineer. I'm a passionate engineer.
Let's see reactions, though. What are Lagosians saying concerning this? Very terrible experience. What is so hard in ensuring the bridge has an outlet for the water to pass through when it rains? Is it rocket science?
Yes.
Yes, it is in Nigeria. Ifechuku says, it's fine to see our dear minister on top of the Third Mainland Bridge, but he did mention that there are structural issues underwater, such as rusted piles, salt water penetration, and illegal sand mining. We should be seeing more divers and real-time footage of the reported faults. Spending 3.8 trillion naira is a significant amount, and we need to see proper state-of-the-art inspection equipment to justify this expenditure if we want to be fair. Not pointing at what
can we pause on that? Very, very important and salient points Ife Chukwude raised. Because from their vantage point, what can they really see to ascertain the level of damage? Unless they were looking out for something different. But if it's on these issues that he raised, the saltwater penetration, rusted piles, and illegal sand mining, do you expect them to get into a canoe or some sort of boat to inspect? But there's a Yoruba proverb that says, what an adult can see.
Sitting down.
Sitting down. Yeah, the youngster cannot see, even while standing up.
Anyway, that's exactly what we see there. But then again, let's look at another tweet very quickly. Okay, these guys are comedians. He's examining the entire national bridge as if it were a path built across in-street gutters. God, can you just swap my nationality to Ghanaian? No.
You know, so...
I mean, you really can't... You don't know his mission there. I mean, we can tell he was inspecting, but... I don't think you're an engineer. Yeah, and there might be follow-ups. that had happened.
Yeah.
So who told you that, I mean, they're wasting their time? But trust Nigerians, they will always have an opinion on certain things. But that money is
too much.
It's
a lot.
3.8
It's a
trillion.
lot, yeah.
From a bridge that was just repaired recently.
I mean, some analysts said that amount could actually construct another bridge of that magnitude. So we'll wait and see how things go.
Okay, let's wait and see how things go and move away from Nigeria now. And this time we're moving to Nepal, where there's
Kathmandu.
Yes, very interesting updates there because Gen Zs have taken over Nepal. The uprising started in Kathmandu, and we've seen a number of, I mean, at least 19 people have been reported dead. Really unfortunate. The Prime Minister, Sharma Oli, has resigned amid the protest turmoil. Now, if you go back to a few days ago, on the 4th of September, where they had announced the clamping down of social media, saying that a number of social media sites had refused to register, and then Gen Z, of course, took to the streets. Now, that social media clampdown was a short-term trigger, but not the actual trigger of what the underlying issues were. The long-term trigger was the fact that these young people have complained about nepotism, corruption, feeling that they're not being carried along in the process of governance, which is what we've seen in a number of the protests that have happened across the world. Wow. Let's bring it back home here to Nigeria. When we had the End SARS protests, there were instances that triggered the short-term protest that had now spiraled into a nationwide protest. However, it was a long time coming. You know, there were several underlying, yes, there was a build-up, and that's what has happened. You will think that the resignation of the Prime Minister will be enough to calm them down, but it hasn't calmed them down. There have been photos of young people holding symbols, artifacts, and gold ornaments, and that's, of course, representing the wealthy. They've released the addresses of politicians online. Some of them have had to go to, the politicians' houses. Some politicians have had to be on the run because they're really after them.
And they physically assaulted.
Some were being kicked
assaulted some ministers.
Some were assaulted
in the river.
Yesterday. Some had
to escape by a helicopter.
Some ran away. Some were beaten. While this is happening in Nepal, it's sending a lot of message across the world, because this is not, like Oliver said, it's not the first time we've seen something happen of this magnitude. We've also seen it occur in different parts of the world, but this one, being the most recent, has been highlighted to be what many politicians need to be concerned about. It shows that there is a generation that you have now. They were probably called, they said they're Gen Zs. And I saw a video where one of them said, listen, if you had done that to our parents or people in the past, this is not us. We're not those people. We're the people who tell you, listen, if you don't do what you think is right towards us, then we're going to take the actions. And that's exactly what they did. But we're not in any way condoning or saying this is right, because whether we like it or not, I saw a lot of properties being destroyed. Monies will be spent.
And you're going to use taxpayers' money to
and the
fix
military
those.
military has assumed position in ensuring law and order. They said they're going to take over every single thing to ensure law and order, and then try as much as possible to calm the people down.
That's if they can, because they're saying they will take over, but it's been a hard thing.
I mean,
in fact, they have been denial of shooting live bullets, but there have been. How did these other people who have lost their lives die?
Yeah, they were shot
pictures
at.
of people who died in their school uniforms. It's the most appalling thing. And there are effects, right? There's a short-term effect, there's a long-term effect, there's the regional and the global effect as well. Right now, there's a vacuum, the vacuum of the Prime Minister, a vacuum that has been created mid-term. Politics will then ensue. You will see opposition forces and all the others trying to capitalize on the fact that there is a vacuum. And not just even politicians within. We see what happened when the was this francophone country, when they were on protest, and then there were allegations of Russia, manipulating it as well.
Mali or Burkina Faso.
Yes, Burkina Faso, I think. So there's also the potential that external forces might want to use it for their own advantage, because there is a vacuum, and when there is a vacuum, these things can easily be manipulated. The stability in Nepal is very important to New Delhi, is very important to China as well. So these are conversations that will be explored. But I think that the one message that this sends to the whole world...
People power.
you know, is that the power is truly with the people. And the things that our parents will take or have taken, the younger generation will not take it. So you either shape up or you get out, because they are coming with a broom and they are sweeping everybody who is not really, you know, doing what they need to do. They will
if you
sweep you out.
think you have the apparatus of state security, I mean, how many
you see
people
that
can
crowd?
you shoot? Exactly.
that
The people
crowd?
are always
You
more.
won't kill everybody.
And then killing protesters. At the end of the day, they will still
Killing
be trial.
even worse
I
is it.
was just following your own citizens. I was just following orders. It's not an excuse. So all those
Look at that crowd.
soldiers and policemen
at the
cannot
buildings on
protect
fire.
you when
This footage,
things like this happen.
this footage didn't even do just. Look at the crowd, you know. And then, I mean, sadly, you now go over and then see reactions from.
We've also
Africans.
seen a spillover.
A lot of people that were reacting to this were even, if you go on X, you see some Africans
Yes,
calling to say,
warning their leaders.
please, can this also happen in our country? And I'm like, why? Why would you
And
pray
as
for
we
such?
speak right now, there's been a series of demonstrations in Jakarta, Indonesia. And it's been not as deadly as this, but there's been
But my
skirmishes.
fear with things like this is that sometimes the
It's
country
hijacked.
Is hijacked, and sometimes the country finds it hard to build back up. So it's either a come-see, come-sa situation.
And
where-
we've seen something similar in Sri Lanka in the last
Yes.
yeah.
Exactly. So I was going there as well. Sri Lanka, the escape. She had to using the helicopter to run away and so on. And then this similar thing happened. Trying to remember the name of the individual, which has brought about. You have militias now taking over the entire state. Some places are no longer safe ever since there was a very wild violence. But then again, if there are reactions, we'd like to see them. But what I've seen online is that I've seen some Africans pointing out and calling their leaders and saying, "Can you see what's going on here?
There
Can you
should
see
be a
what's
sign
going
of
on here?"
a warning sign.
And as a politician, I wonder, if you saw that, can you sit down and think?
They
you-
look at
You
their
think
mobile
that-
policemen
Let me
and their
demonstrate it.
protection
Can you think as
and
a
their
politician?
security
I don't
apparatus
think
and
that's
say, you
that
know,
far.
this,
It's happening in Nepal.
What if
Nepal
this
is so far.
occurs? What will happen? What will be? You know, it's far beyond just sitting at the on the chambers, making laws, speaking tough, telling people you don't care. They should go and pray and do
they
whatever
say it can't
have to
happen.
do.
They were too divided along tribal and religious lines, so it's hard for Nigerians to unite.
Well, just to
fight the
mention
cause.
that the trigger, like we mentioned earlier, was social media ban. The social media ban has been lifted. The protests
It was
haven't
lifted
yet.
too late.
Yes, the protests haven't yet stopped. It tells you that at the end of the day, it's like a can that once, you know, we're sitting on a keg of gunpowder and the slightest thing can cause that explosion. And once that explosion happens, there maybe isn't any going back. But still looking at international matters, we saw a very shocking video yesterday, heartbreaking video of the new Minister of Health in Sweden, Elizabeth Land, who collapsed on her first day in office. She was addressing the press and then she collapsed. This happened on the 9th of September 2025. You can see her there. This was a live press conference. It was her very first day in office. And she fainted. You can see, oh my goodness. I remember seeing the video. I could imagine the sharp damage that may have done to her. But this was attributed to an episode of her sudden
blood
drop in
sugar.
sugar. Yes, exactly, low blood sugar. There was a sudden drop in blood sugar. It says that there were no immediate reports of serious injury, and it doesn't look like there's any cause for alarm.
The irony is she's Minister of Health,
Yes.
so you expect
so
her
that's it.
to
One will
pay
wonder.
better attention to her health.
Well, the thing is, you
I
can't
mean, at
really
the end
tell.
of the day, she's human.
She's human being. She's now human being.
Maybe-
It could have been also the nerves of her first day in office,
Yeah.
coupled with the fact that she's had to battle low blood sugar. I've been at an event where there was a lot of excitement, and it was a women's event. We had such a great time, and then out of the blues, I just heard noise at the back. What happened? A woman had fainted. Turns out that she also had a drop in her blood sugar, and all they needed to do was get her one of the fizzy drinks, and they gave her.
That's all you
and she
need.
came alive. You know?
That's all
so
you
we
need.
really don't know. But I think it's important to say that Minister Land has signaled a policy focus on reducing waiting times across Sweden's health system, calling for stronger government control and oversight to drive improvement. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah.
I hope that will
And the
come back
levels
here.
of things they will be discussing in
Exactly.
Sweden is not, let's buy mattress for primary healthcare centers.
No, you
shots
don't have
gone
beds
past
and
that
so
level.
on. And I do hear that the young man who had put out a video in the north showcasing how bad
The healthcare
system
in
is,
Kebbi State
has been arrested by the governor. Has
I
been
would
Yeah,
be
the,
gone.
surprised.
the government sees it as an embarrassment, but I mean, it's the reality.
I hope more Nigerians can keep embarrassing the state governments in that way.
And-
if your state
yeah.
governments cannot give you certain basics like quality healthcare, and people have
And there
to
are
go to
budgets
certain
for these things.
dilapidated hospitals.
And there are
They
different
should continue
approaches
posting
to
it
it.
on
The
social
reason
media.
why I made that video was not to embarrass the government.
It was to
I don't
raise
think they did-
awareness.
To raise awareness. Deji Badmos did something, a journalist colleague of ours, did something similar with a manhole on the airport road that was open. It's been open for months, and an accident happened there a few days ago. So he put a banner and then put it right there in the manhole, calling the attention of the governor and the state authority. And kudos to Lagos state government and
Kudos?
Yes, and the Ministry of
Works.
Public Works. In less than 24 hours, they cordoned off the area and the manhole has been replaced. So
Because that's
citizen
and that again
action.
is the power of social media. And I hope that governments in Nepal and other places where they're planning to stifle social media can see that. Because there are certain things that social media is an accountability system that enables the people to hold the government to account so the government can do what they need to do. Because the government will always not, I mean, they will do what
And
they
also,
can do, but sometimes
citizens,
they won't
I
do
mean, please,
everything.
if you don't even want them to gag, let's self-regulate. I saw a very, I can't even share it, despicable comment. Someone lost his mother yesterday, but because of politics and tribalism, I saw a comment saying he deserves it. I mean, how do you
losing
lose
our
your humanity?
humanity.
And people like that, I scream-munch their names. So if they're seeking for employment or something, I think employers need to go back and check
Yeah,
social
please.
media
In case
history
you don't know,
of the
the
type
United
of people
States has
that...
said, submit your
Submit,
social media
yes.
accounts. Some offices, by the way, not today. If you go to work in some office, they tell you, please, they have a line where
Let's
you put your
check
social
where
media.
your head is.
But they want to be sure they're not employing somebody who is twerking at night. And they will handle a serious...
I mean, that's
company
even better.
account.
It's
Or somebody
youthful
who's
exuberance, but
this and
wishing
that. Anyway.
death upon
I mean,
people is just...
It's really sad. As we
no.
head out of the studio, no, not out of the studio, out of this segment.
Have we reduced our show to
Yeah,
1 hour?
it's our show.
Wow.
Good morning, Mokuye Chukwuemeka. He's dropped his comments on YouTube.
Okay.
He says, "How can you expect the bottom of the? Inspect the bottom of the bridge from the top? So the cracks are that visible from where they were standing.
From top to bottom.
Okay, from top to bottom." And in response to Nepal, he says, "Nigerians, behold your mates in Nepal. When will we unite and fight for our common enemy?" Mokuye Chukwuemeka. Lillian Oluoha says, Barrister Oliver Borowa and Hanson, thank you for all you do. Thank you very much, Lillian.
Thank you,
And thank you
Lillian.
to everyone who streams and watches the show, drops comments and engages with our content. Thank you for being a part of the show. Let's now share with you what the top stories this morning are. This morning on Breakfast Central, FCT resident doctors begin 7-day warning strike over welfare manpower shortage. North rallies voters to counter South pre-registration lead. And of course, we'll be looking into details of that. And again, National Assembly is in the news, and this time for stopping Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan's return despite ongoing court case. Stakeholders raise concerns over borrowing risks, even as we've met our revenue target for 2025. We'll review the newspaper front pages with you and with our analysts. Stay with us. Resident doctors under the Association of Resident Doctors FCT chapter have embarked on a 7-day warning strike over unpaid wages and systemic neglect. The doctors describe the FCT health system as one plagued by long-standing systemic failures, calling for urgent and comprehensive reforms.
They urge the federal government to urgently tackle the growing challenges in the health sector, warning that continued neglect could lead to a systemic collapse. The association demanded swift intervention to address manpower shortages, non-functional equipment, poor working conditions, and unpaid staff allowances.
Well, let's say that hospitals are stretched thin, patients are stranded, and the doctors say they have had enough. But to discuss this, we have joining us President Association of Resident Doctors in Abuja, Dr. George Ibong joins us this morning. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning. Good morning, and thank you for inviting me to be here with you.
Good. We're starting to see a lot of comments coming from especially the medical and health sector, where doctors are currently talking tough. And this is one that one would ordinarily not presume will happen in the FCT, especially saying that there seems to be a lot of development going on in the Federal Capital Territory, which happens to be also the place or the seat of power. But can you shed more light on what really is going on? You said there's been no recruitment in the FCT hospitals since 2011. Is that true?
Hello?
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, I said...
Yes, I can hear you properly.
All right, good, good. You did mention that there's been no recruitment in the FCT hospital since 2011. How true is that?
That's correct. Very correct. The proper recruitment that was done in FCTA was in 2011. And since then, there has not been any recruitment. What we've had has been some scanty replacement. And the proportion of this replacement has been very minimal in such a way that it never bridged the gaps to those that have left the system. And that's the problem we are facing. And so therefore, we have a situation whereby we have like a doctor that will see a lot of patients, 30, 40 sometimes, or you have a doctor that will do up to 7, 8, 9, 10 cesarean section in a day, and the same doctor will have to do the ward round, and the same doctor will have to do the call at night, and the same doctor is going to still write medical reports for patients. So, and it's beginning to be harmful, not just to the patients, but even to the doctor themselves. And that is why we had to take this action.
Okay, so I want you to give us a picture of what the typical recommended patient-to-doctor ratio is and what we have prevailing in Nigeria, or Abuja, if you prefer.
The FCT.
Yes, so let me put it this way. Actually, the WHO will say it should be maybe a doctor to 500 or 600. But in some countries like Cuba, for example, you may have like a doctor to like 230 patients, which is good enough. But in Nigeria, we're having a doctor to like 10,000 patients. Nigeria is a country of about 300 million people, and we have less than 40,000 doctors working in Nigeria, including the specialists. So just do the math. 40,000, less than 40,000 Nigerian doctors taking care of 300 million people. That is very unfathomable. And that's the problem. And in Abuja right now, we have the same thing as well. So we have a situation whereby Abuja is the Federal Capital Territory. And then you have the neighboring states like Nasarawa, you have Niger State, you even have Benue State. We have patients coming in from there. So we have a population explosion when it comes to the amount of patients we see. So a doctor that works in Abuja sees a lot of patients. And like I said, we have records of one doctor doing up to 11 cesarean section in a day, just one doctor. And we have a situation whereby you have a doctor working in the whole hospital during the call hour, covering the internal medicine department, pediatric department, gynecology department, and even the accident and emergency. So we see more than a lot, and it's beginning to seem impossible if we continue in this trend. It's not good for the patient. It's not good for us.
Absolutely. Dr. Ebong, you just painted a picture of very not a palatable work environment and the strain on the doctors. But beyond this, there are also issues of unpaid salaries, unexplained deductions. These are very serious allegations. How long have these issues persisted, and what has been the response from the FCT administration? Because I believe you must have interfaced a dialogue or let the FCT authorities know these issues that are affecting doctors.
Thank you. So we have always had dialogue with them. And let me put it this way. The minister also came to inherit this. So it has been a chronic systemic failure. So this is what I mean. Even if the minister leaves today, the next minister is going to inherit the same systemic failure. So the blame is not entirely on him. But because he's the minister at the moment and we believe that he can actually solve this problem, we want him to solve this problem. It is true that we have unexplained deductions from our salaries, and when we have those deductions, they are never paid back. And because you can't continue to trace whatever the money was used for, eventually you let that money go. We have doctors who are being owed salaries for up to 1 year in our hospitals. We have about 27 doctors as of now that have been owed up to 9 months' salaries, and we've tried to dialogue with them for the past 1.5 years on the same issue, and the outcome has never been positive. We have doctors who have passed their exams and they are consultants, and then they have to do the job of a consultant, but they are being paid as resident doctors, or they are being paid as medical officers. And so there's this accruing of their arrears that have not been paid over the years. And you know what happens when you accrue those arrears over the years? They become kind of big, and then the government wouldn't have, according to them, wouldn't have money to make those payments. So those payments are there 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and they don't pay. We have a case of the hazard allowance that have not been paid since 2021. This is 4 years now. And when you talk to them about this thing, they keep telling us, okay, we'll see what we can do. We'll try to put this in the budget. We'll get back to you. And nothing is done. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years now. So, and that is why we didn't have a choice than for the Congress to say that we have to shut down until all these things, all of them, are resolved.
Well, if the strike ends after like 7 days and nothing changes, what's next? Are we heading toward a full-blown healthcare shutdown? Because we also recall that the resident doctors, aside the ones in the FCT, we also have the Nigerian medical doctors as well, who had given ultimatum, and still it seems nothing has been done.
Yeah, that's true. So the 7 days of warning shutdown is for us to dialogue and for them to do the needful. The Congress has mandated that if this is not done within the 7 days, then we'll have to reassess the situation and see what they have done on their part. And if nothing has been done convincingly, then we'll not have a choice than to go on a timeless shutdown. And that we don't know when we're going to call it off. And it's not like we love to do this, but it's becoming a harmful practice to the patient. We are beginning to record harmful medical practices on our patient. I have to say this, and it is because we are having doctors who are going through mental fatigue. We're having doctors who are self-medicating on antidepressant medications. We're having doctors who have to go through their work for 72 hours. I mean, just remember what happened in Port Harcourt. A young doctor that had to work for 3 days and then had to die because of what? Because of the stress of the job. In Abuja here, we have so many of those cases happening. We had 2019, we had a female doctor who was pregnant, who worked that long hours as well, and she died, even in the hospital, and she was pregnant. We have female doctors who have had 5 to 6 miscarriages because of the stress of the nature of the jobs that they do. We have doctors who collapse while seeing patients. We have doctors who collapse in the theater. These are our colleagues. We know them. They are our friends. And we keep saying that if we continue to follow this particular pattern, then the lives of our patients are in danger. Our lives as well are also in danger.
I mean, you really just highlighted very sad realities. Not too far or not too long ago, we heard the story of Dr. Femi Rotifa in River State University.
That's correct.
Of technology, right? So it's unfortunate that a number of these doctors, while saving lives of Nigerians, are either losing theirs or having to pay really steep prices. You know, as a final question, what would you like the dialogue to look like? Who are the necessary stakeholders that you want to come into a conversation with the resident doctors to get your desired outcome?
Yes, for the FCTA, the only person that can fix this problem is the Minister of State, Mr. Nyesom Wike. He's the only one that can fix this problem. And I would love him to declare a state of emergency. We will love him, the Congress will love him to declare a state of emergency on the healthcare in all the hospitals in FCTA, so that when he does that, then there'll be a waiver for him to do an immediate recruitment and employment of medical doctors, not just doctors alone, doctors, nurses, pharmacists, lab scientists, physiotherapists, everyone, every structure that makes a hospital to function properly. We want him to do that. We can't keep waiting for other infrastructure to be done before it comes to health. We can't keep waiting for bridges and roads to be finished before it comes to health, because life is just one. When you lose a life, you can't bring it back. And right now, our hospitals are not equipped enough to save the amount of life we are supposed to save. We don't have enough hands to save the amount of life we are supposed to save. And it's becoming traumatic to us that even sometimes the things we are needed to do, we cannot do them because we don't have enough hands or we don't have the required equipment.
Well, Dr. George Ebong, thank you for lending your voice to this, sharing your, this with us. We do hope that the Minister of the FCT sees how much of an importance this is and steps into the arena quickly to avoid further deterioration of the situation. Thank you for your time with us this morning.
Thank you so much. God bless you for inviting me.
Thank you. Moving on from a sad, it's a sad story to see that people who have to every day show up and give their best to saving lives have to do that in the worst situations. But with public debt in West Africa rising sharply and Nigeria topping the chart in recent years, experts are warning of the risks this trend poses to regional stability. Speaking at the 11th Annual Conference of the West Africa Association of Public Account Committees in Abuja, stakeholders say that there is a need for stronger oversight and fiscal discipline. Our correspondent, Idong Joseph, reports.
Fake news, misinformation.
At a panel discussion on the rising trend of public debt in West Africa, Nigeria's representatives from the Debt Management Office says that the nation's debt has expanded sharply, posing serious risks to regional stability. She adds that reliance on external borrowing exposes countries to exchange rate volatility and refinancing pressures, while debt servicing consumes a large portion of national revenues.
As a result of the global interest rate hike, because the tightening of the monetary policy has led to increase in the cost of borrowing, especially from the domestic sources.
A former lawmaker of Nigeria's House of Representatives questioned the scrutiny of borrowing agreements, calling for stronger legislative oversight of loans.
How many of the members of the National Assembly in Nigeria have those documents that you have borrowed up to 140-something trillion? How many? Because it's not unveiled. It's like a hidden document. So those documents must be provided to the Parliament.
Meanwhile, the Auditor General of the Federation gives more details of agencies responsible for ensuring adequate scrutiny of government borrowing.
If money are borrowed, we ensure that they are genuinely used for the purpose for which the funds are borrowed.
Other participants in attendance also called for stronger collaboration between the media, civil society organizations, and the parliament to enhance debt oversight and accountability.
There's need for joint public awareness. Let's have collaboration, designing campaigns to educate citizens on public debt, its implication, and the right to demand accountability.
The problems that we face at the global level will be better addressed if we address the issues at the national level. I think it's very important to start from there.
With a consensus on the need for fiscal discipline, economic diversification, and tighter oversight, stakeholders urged participants to go beyond rhetoric but action in a bid to prevent public debt from undermining developments across the region. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idong Joseph.
Don't forget to there were concerns around Nigeria's borrowings, and that's a conversation that we'll look to have here on Breakfast Central. But let's move on now and tell you that stakeholders of the Ijaw and Urhobo ethnic nationalities are urging the Independent National Electoral Commission to immediately release and implement the final report of the Warri Federal Constituency delineation exercise. The stakeholders made this demand during a demonstration at the headquarters of INEC in Abuja, where they also submitted a petition signed by 16 representatives of the affected ethnic groups. They called on INEC to suspend the ongoing continuous voters registration exercise in Warri North, Warri South, and Warri Southwest local government areas of Delta State until the delineation report is made public and implemented.
We are fully abreast with the legal attempts and undue influences from various quarters to derail or truncate the process. We were invited to various stakeholder meetings by electoral officials in Warri North, Warri South, Warri Southwest local government areas, informing us that you have commenced the continuous voter restriction exercise in the aforementioned LGAs using the defunct arrangement which fell face down in the eyes of the law. Our patience and cooperation is being taken for granted as you have set machinery in place to disenfranchise us from participating in future elections. We can no longer wait while our democratic rights, guaranteed by the Constitution and reaffirmed by the Supreme Court judgment, are being eroded. Our irrevocable demand and conclusion, INEC should immediately release and implement the report painstakingly embarked upon by stakeholders. We should not be idly stand by and watch our democratic rights and franchise frittered away. A state in time saves now.
The people here have heard what you've said. I will tender this document that you have presented to the Commission. The Commission will look at this and will act on it. But let me assure you that as a Commission, we are law-abiding institution. And as citizens, we are also law-abiding citizens. Whatever the law says it has taken a decision on, we act on it.
Well, we'll bring you updates on that story as well, just like you heard, that they will take it up. Well, let's bring you a recap of the top stories we've had this hour here on Breakfast Central. This morning here, we've discussed FCT resident doctors strike as it enters day 2. They're calling on the FCT minister to step up West Africa borrowing risks. We've talked about this as well in the package by our reporter, Joseph Edom. And then Warwick constituency delineation controversy. Hopefully, INEC will swing into action and get things done immediately. But let's move away now and tell you what's coming up next for the second hour here on Breakfast Central. North rallies voters to counter South pre-registration lead. And the big one, National Assembly stops Senator Natasha. Do they have the power to do so? Well, strengthening Nigeria's democracy is also a conversation we'd love to have in the next hour, so stay with us.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. Now, as the race to the 2027 general election builds up, leaders in Nigeria's northern region have intensified voter mobilization drive aimed at countering the South's commanding lead in online pre-registration for the 2027 election.
According to INEC, over 3.5 million Nigerians have pre-registered online, with Osun, Lagos and Ogun leading the pack. Meanwhile, northern leaders and northern states like Kano and Zamfara are trailing behind despite their population strength. Training us to shed more light on why there's such intensity in the sensitization of voters, particularly in the northern region, in what will be a battle of votes in 2027, is National Publicity Secretary of the Arewa Consultative Forum, Professor Tukur Mohammed Baba. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
A very good morning to you. Happy to be with you today.
All right. Let's begin with what factors might lead to the North playing catch-up. We're seeing Osun alone having over 500,000 pre-registered voters. Kano has a much larger population, but it barely crossed 66,000. So what factors would you say are causing us to see this huge disparity in numbers?
Well, in the first place, I think it's very important to emphasize that voter registration is one of the requirements of the political process. A citizen is entitled to vote but cannot do that until they register. That's one. Number two, in the last few years, as shown by patterns in presidential and other elections, there has been declining participation in terms of voter turnout. And one of the factors is probably that citizens take voter registration lightly. It's not important until they don't realize it until it's too late. So there is nothing new. Number three, in fact, it is INEC itself and also the political parties are responsible for voter campaign so that they get voters to vote. No matter what your support for any party is, you cannot vote if you are not a registered voter. Number four, I think there is an exaggeration that the North is trying to counter anybody. No, it's not true. The voter registration is for every citizen. And the campaigns embarked upon by HCF is aimed at all citizens who are eligible for to vote, so that they register to actualize their right to vote. So these are some of the factors. One, lack of voter apathy. Two, lack of heightened activities by those responsible for enlightening citizens. The Independent National Commission, is Independent Electoral Commission is one, and then of course the political parties themselves have a big responsibility with their judging. So the campaign is actually a civic campaign aimed at empowering citizens to use what they have when the time comes.
But there seems to be, many have said trust issues, there's a trust gap. The North has also witnessed a high level of insecurity, unemployment, out-of-school children. There's also a case where students are starting to feel like they've been neglected because the education system in the North is not looking very interesting to some of them. So why should they believe in this voter mobilization campaign? Why should they even give of themselves and their time to also come out to say they want to register, talk less of voting?
In fact, all the reasons you have given are the very same reasons that make it necessary for citizens to vote. Because if you don't like policies of government or you don't like the performance of any party, the only way you can make a change, outside of violent changes, which is not at all recommended, is to register to vote. Dissatisfaction with any government policies or any political party, and citizens have a right. But then, of course, how can they register their protest? They register their protest by voting. How do you vote? By registering. So that the reasons you have given are actually the main reasons why citizens should take active part, to take interest and actually perform by registering to vote. That is the only way governments or policies or parties will be informed about their performance. You see, people are dissatisfied with the state of health, with the state of education, with the state of the economy, and the political economy in general. The thing to do is to vote. And then, of course, all the campaigns by political parties and politicians are usually designed to get citizens to vote, because that is the legal way to express satisfaction or lack of it. So if, in fact, government have not been voting, the best thing for citizens to do is to register to vote, and when the time comes, they come out massively with their votes with their registration card to vote. So the reasons you have given me are actually very good reasons for citizens to take active part in the process. And like I said, it is legal. It is a legal requirement for citizens. It's not enough to be eligible. One of the requirements of eligibility is voting. And of course, it is the civic rights of individuals. In some countries, remember that voting is actually compulsory. There have been an attempt in Nigeria to make it compulsory, but I think so far the process has stalled in the National Assembly, or in fact has been rejected. I cannot recall immediately. But to go back to my position, all the dissatisfaction with what is going on is actually a very, very good reason for citizens to register to vote. And of course, when parties see the results of the registration process, they intensify their campaigns. They know it shows one of their weaknesses and so on. So it's very important. In fact, you would say that registration is more important than voting itself. Because when you don't register, the question of voting does not even arise at all.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Professor Tuku Mohammed Baba. We'll go on a quick break, and when we return, we still have quite a lot to unpack with regards to this conversation on voter registration. Do stay with us.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. We're still speaking with Professor Tuku Mohammed Baba, who is the National Publicity Secretary of the Arewa Consultative Forum. Professor, before we went on the break, you had talked about voting and said in some countries they have compulsory voting. You said they tried to do it in Nigeria. It didn't quite pan out. Is it something you would endorse in Nigeria?
Well, anything to get citizens to be enlightened, I think it's very important. Now, the law is not as important as the implementation. If we have the machinery for implementing that, yes, I will endorse it. But under our circumstances as a third world country, Nigeria, given the population, the dearth of security personnel, the challenges before the electorate, I think for now we are not, and this is my personal opinion, we are not mature enough for compulsory voting. What I will encourage is what is going on. All manners of stakeholders should embark on an enlightening campaign to get voters, to inform voters about the importance of registration. Like I said earlier, this is right now, this is the responsibility of INEC and the political parties, and both institutions are not doing enough. So it behoves on one, non-governmental organizations, civic organizations, interest groups, and so on, to intensify the enlightenment campaign. You see, one of our problems is, of course, inadequate education. And unless you can get citizens to be well informed, even if they are not educated, and there are various multimedia channels that voters can be sensitized about the importance of their right. Otherwise, apathy. Otherwise, people will think I will not make a difference. The campaign should be every single registration is important. And of course, a number of measures have been taken in the past. In the process of 2011 election, 2015 and 2023, I think a lot of organizations have intensified the drive to get voters to register. In fact, some government institutions demand evidence of registration before citizens can access government services, like hospitals, like enrollment in school, and so on. Some religious organizations in the past, and I recall immediately the 2011, 2015, and 2019, and 2023. Even religious organizations in churches, in mosques, in marketplaces, and so on. Like I said, this is healthy. For now, I think this is what we need. And then going forward, we need to intensify that. If we get to a point where citizens will be required to do that, there is no harm. But right now, I will not advocate for compulsory voter registration or voting, because we don't have the infrastructure in place to enforce that.
Now, Prof, I have two questions for you. Are you confident that the North will close this registration gap in the time that is left for registration? And also, what's your assessment of INEC as we inch towards the 2027 elections? Are you confident they will do a better job than 2023, where they overpromised and under-delivered?
First of all, it's not a question of my confidence. It is a question of my prayer, my hope that INEC will perform better. And this is how it should be. The electoral process in a young democracy, it should be a build-up process, so that at every level, after every cycle of elections, we look at the flaws, we look at the successes, and we build on those, reinforce success, and deal with the flaws. But to go back to an earlier comment you made, I'm not sure we gain a lot by emphasizing that it is a war between the North and the South. It is not. Like I said at the beginning of my appearance here, it is a legal requirement of the electoral process. That's one. That is also registering and voting is also one of the ways for citizens to register their pleasure or displeasure with any party in government. From Calabar to Ilela in Sokoto.
Yeah, Professor, are you there?
From Brass on the Niger Delta to Megatari, I would encourage every citizen that is qualified to vote. In fact, I would like to see a full movement, a massive drive and effort by citizens to register. This will in fact ginger the political parties that danger for them looms in the horizon if they don't perform very well, and it will be up to them when they see the large number of potential voters who could make a difference. I think it will ginger political parties to perform better. So it's not a question of north-south. It's a question of getting everybody to emphasize, to exercise their fundamental human rights as guaranteed in the Constitution, so that it's one way that citizens can have direct influence on government and government policy. And of course, that is the only way to ensure fair and equitable distribution. So I would urge the press to desist from thinking it's a war between the North and the South. It is not. For example, if I go out today to encourage parents to register their children in basic education, I'm not trying to catch up with the South that has gone far. I am trying to get citizens to actualize their potential. So to me, it's not a question of North-South. And it has been done, like I said earlier, by religious bodies, non-governmental organizations, and so on. In general, I think in the political process, government agencies are not doing enough to get citizens to register to vote. And this behoves on us, civic society organizations, to actually go out and encourage people to vote. It's not a zero-sum game, so that where the South gains in voter registration, the North loses, or vice versa. It is a fundamental human right, and we should not try to read meanings, politics, and so on, to read intentions. It is part of the political process, and nobody needs to get frightened, and so on. It is something to be encouraged.
Okay. I mean, just to wrap things up, my final question would be, we have seen a few governors come out and also politicians telling the current administration, Mr. President, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that they are guaranteeing him a certain number of votes from the 2 million. As I've said, we're going to guarantee you over millions upon millions of votes. And these are just declarations. What do you make of these declarations, especially made by politicians? Do you think it's an act of politicking, or do you think it is actually certain that they will be able to get these numbers for the president?
Of course, to say that the president or anybody else for that matter will get X number of votes is purely speculative. But it can be excused on the grounds that it is part of the political process. It is a propaganda to either tell themselves to the president or to get voters to actually come out. But, nobody can guarantee that. At the end of the day, it is the voter himself, the registered voter, who will determine who to vote for. And of course, it is up to the electoral body, the electoral management body, to ensure that votes are counted. For any politician, I can sit down here and promise the president that I will mobilize 40 million people. But of course, unless you are going to use some other foul means to register those, you cannot do that. One, it depends on the number of people who vote. Two, it depends on the turnout. And three, it's up to the individual, and so on. What we are hearing are all propaganda, campaign, mind games, and so on. No citizen and no voter should relax because of that. You see in some jurisdictions, you will see such predictions, scientific surveys that says who will get what, but they have not always worked. So at the end of the day, it is the citizen himself or herself to register and then to actually vote. And it's up to the electoral body, the electoral management body, to ensure that the votes are counted. And this is our expectation, that the electoral management body, and in our case, INEC, will be up to speed in ensuring the credibility and integrity of the voting population. If we go by the pattern that has been going on in this country in the last 3 or 4 presidential elections, you will see that there is a dip in participation. And this is largely due to one, apathy, 2, disappointment. But you don't sit down. Life is nothing if there is no hope. Citizens should continue to vote, should come out. They should ignore the politicians. You hear it, but it is propaganda, and propaganda is part of the campaign. Whether or not the president will get 2 million from Taraba State or 5 million from Sokoto State or 3 million from Bayelsa State is immaterial. These are declarations. They are not even. They are not even based on service. Unless, of course, some people or some groups are telling us that come one way or another, they are going to deliver those votes, which means there will be some shenanigans in it. But it's nothing to worry about. Let's cross the bridge when we get there.
All right, and this is such a great way to wrap up the conversation, and we want to use this avenue to advocate for more people to be involved in the process, because we all have a collective responsibility. Professor, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you for your time.
It's been my pleasure, and I hope and urge every citizen.
It has been an insightful conversation indeed. We'll go on a break this morning, and when we come back, we have another conversation. This time around, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan is in the news again. Stick around.
Welcome back. The National Assembly has again barred Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan from resuming her seat despite the expiry of a 6-month suspension, citing a pending Court of Appeal case. On September 4, 2025, acting clerk to the National Assembly, Dr. Yahaya Danzaria, wrote to Senator Natasha acknowledging her notification to resume duties.
Though her 6-month suspension imposed has officially ended, the Senate insists it cannot lift the ban until the Court of Appeal delivers judgment on her challenge. In March, Senator Natasha was suspended over alleged insubordination during plenary. She approached the Federal High Court and, unsatisfied, escalated to the Court of Appeal.
The Senate maintains the matter remains sub judice, so no administrative action can be taken until the appellate court rules. Join us for discussions and to take a further look at this matter is the principal attorney at Advocate Populi Law Firm, Barrister Peter Akpabio. A warm welcome to you, and thanks for joining us on Breakfast Central this morning.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Thank you. Good
Morning.
Yeah.
Morning.
Now, Barrister, the Senate claims it's bound by sub judice, that there's a pending case in the Court of Appeal. Does this argument hold water?
So this argument can never hold water. And the reason is simple. What is the issue that was submitted to the courts at the Federal High Court? Because that is where the appeal emanates from. The issue that was submitted to the court has to do with the issue of her privilege, whether her privilege had been breached by a refusal of the Senate President to allow her make a position from her seat. That was the issue that was submitted. And then she also further challenged the fact that her right to fair hearing was breached by the chairman of the Ethics and Privileges Committee. That was the issue. So the issue of suspension was never submitted
to the court.
And so when the Senate now comes to say that we cannot allow her to resume because a matter is in court, you ask yourself, which matter is in court? The issue in court has to do with, like I said, the issue of privileges. It has nothing to do with the issue of suspension. So let's even assuming without conceding that matter is in court, has it not become academic? As of today,
as the suspension time has elapsed.
Exactly. So as of today, can any court say, I hereby order that the suspension be lifted? It doesn't make sense.
That's true. That's a good one. That's a good way to look at it, because it's elapsed. It's been 6 months. And there's also argument that it's not the usual 6 months. It's supposed to be like 6 days or something. What's the disparity with that? 6 months, 6 days? And do the lawmakers really have the right to stop her from resuming her duties for our constituency?
Okay, so I just want us to look at this from the perspective of the letter that was written by the clerk of the National Assembly. Okay. So the reason he has given is not the issue of the calculation of the days, but the reason is that there's a case in court. So it will be good that we stay within that context to properly understand. Then the question you ask is whether they have a right to stop her from resuming. They don't have any such right at all. Now, let's break it down and make it very easy for everybody. So it's likened to a situation, someone was charged to court. His case was tried. He was convicted for, let's say, 6 years. And then he's in prison. While he's serving his prison term, he goes on appeal to challenge the conviction. But before the appeal could be heard, the 6 years had lapsed. And now he goes to the prison warder to say, please, I have served my 6 years, can I go? And the prison warder said, no, you cannot go. Since your appeal is in. Yes. Does it make sense? You don't need to be a lawyer to understand that what is happening here is ridiculous. It doesn't make sense at all. You don't need to be a lawyer to understand that this is this is wicked. And this is, bringing the Senate of the Nigerian people to disrepute.
So, again, the concern is about what really is the role of separation of powers, right? The Senate cannot be a judge in their own cause. And many will argue that they have handled this matter like they are a judge in their own cause. They are saying that there's a pending matter in court. What reliefs abound for Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, and what relief can she plead for at this point? Because not only has the first matter she's taken to court not yet been, the court hasn't given a verdict on that. Now, she's also been prevented from returning, even though the 6 months has elapsed.
Okay, so the court has given a verdict. There was a federal high court judgment. Yes. And if you notice that judgment, the judge was very careful. She never made any order with respect to resumption. Exactly. And the reason she did that...
yes, that was the one where she said that she should do an apology in the public papers.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the reason the judge did not make any order was because that issue was not submitted to the court. Okay. So at that point...
But couldn't it have been inferred if the judge then says that they acted, I'm trying to remember, I don't want to misquote what the judge said, but if she condemns the way in which the matter was handled and, how she was suspended, shouldn't it be inferred?
Exactly. For a Senate that really want to be law-abiding, that want to stick to the rule of law, even if there's no order per se, because the judge said that the suspension is unconstitutional. Now, you cannot suspend a senator for that long period. And she now advised that it should even review that law that allows you to suspend a senator for that long period of time. Because once you do that...
You're depriving the constituents of representation.
Exactly. And I expect the Senate to be looking at the fact that a section of this country is being denied representation. Why the representative democracy? So this is not nice. And we must be clear. At this point, the matter is no longer between Senator Natasha and the Senate. All Nigerians must rise to condemn this. It could happen to any of us.
I wanted to even bring up her constituents and the role that they play in all of this. Because at the end of the day, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan is not there on her own instance. She's there because the people give her their mandate to represent them. Yes. And there is the Constitution provides for a minimum number of days that the senator should sit in court. I believe it's
181 days.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I don't know if she's met up with this suspension, if this is going to impact the number of days that she ought to have spent in the to have sat in plenary. That's one. Two, what role do her constituents have to play? Because some would argue that it's not even her that is supposed to bring a fundamental rights breach case against the Senate, but that it is her constituents whom have been deprived of legal representation.
Section 48 of the Constitution provides that there shall be 3 senators to represent a state. And then Section 62 now says that the Senate, the term of the Senate is 4 years. And the words used in that section is shall. When the Constitution or a legislation use the word shall, it means compulsory. It must be obeyed. It means that it is not a contemplation that within that 4 years of the life of a Senate, that a particular senatorial district will be denied representation. Okay, so what they have done is terrible. Now, what role does the constituents have to play in this stance? Now, it is the constituents who actually have the power to elect and to even recall her. They tried that. Some of those people who are fighting her tried that. It didn't work. And now they have done this. So I am calling on the people of that, I think it's Kogi Central. I'm calling on them to rise up in defense of their senator. They should march to the National Assembly peacefully and to protest this ignominy. They should march, they have the rights under the Constitution to protest peacefully. And above all, like I said, this should not even be left to even the people of Kogi Central. Because this is an attack on democracy. This can happen to any of us. Our senator can be suspended just for some frivolous reason. And I even wonder why that provision is still left hanging in the that you can suspend a senator. Because that provision conflicts with a community reading of the sections of the Constitution. It's not something that we should tolerate. We should condemn it in strong terms.
Have we seen any precedent to this? We recall that Senator Deno Elaye and Senator Ovi Omagege were suspended in the past, and then the court ruled for them to return, but it didn't take this long. And what options does she have?
Okay, what option does she have? She has, as a law-abiding citizen, I mean, if you have a dispute, you take it to the court. She has taken it.
Yeah, but the time the court is also taken.
Yeah, so I'm saying, what I'm trying to say is that she cannot return to the court at this point anymore. To do what? What is she returning to court to do?
Because she has served that.
Exactly. So there's nothing to do within the court.
She can file a new case and say, look, compel the Senate to let me resume.
Once you do that, that is what the senators want. The Senate, that's what they want her to do. Once you do that, they will now say, now you have submitted the issue of whether you can resume or not before the court. So that's the real sub judice.
Which is not even in the Constitution.
Exactly.
It's not even in,
They want her to go that route. And
so it's a trap.
And then they also know that, unfortunately, our judicial system runs at a snake pace. So they want to take advantage. What they want to do now is to say, okay, we will wait until the Court of Appeal determines this matter. Then, if the matter is decided in favor of Natasha or anybody, they will say, we are going to Supreme Court. So what they want to do, exactly, what they want to do is to deny her and deny her people total representation. That's vendetta taken too far. I mean, this is not a banana republic. We should not encourage this.
What does this mean for the Nigerian judiciary system? I mean, we're expecting that by now, the learned colleagues and, of course, the lawyers and everybody would rise, the senior advocates would, everybody would, you know,
I mean, both parties.
Maybe
Senate President is a lawyer. Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan.
Exactly.
So our dear sister here too is a lawyer.
So, just like you, I mean, we're surrounded by lawyers. So are we going to say that we'll just allow things like this go on, and what will happen to Nigeria's the laws that govern the lands, the way people behave? Because what we're seeing here, we're starting to set the tone for what will occur in the near future, which will be worse. And should any lawyer, respected or not, stand up and say no, people would respond and refer them back to this situation. So what can lawyers do? What should Nigerian judiciary system do now to avert and stop?
And should the NBA step in?
Yes, I believe that NBA has some role to play, considering the fact that the principal actors here are lawyers. Okay? But the office I would recommend should really step in at this point should be the office of the Attorney General. He has a duty to advise on the state of the law, to advise,
exactly.
I know, different...
but it seems like the Attorney General is with the Senate.
No, obvious.
I mean, he's an APC appointee.
But is that supposed to be? What we hear is the Attorney General is supposed to be different. He's not supposed to take sides. He's supposed to be neutral and advise the presidency on how to follow the rule.
You know, that conversation is on whether there's really need to separate the office of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice. Yes. Because he's behaving like a politician. Most of them behave like that. Okay, but when you talk about NBA, what role lawyers can play, and in this case, we cannot even blame the judiciary. The judiciary has not done anything in this matter. In fact, the judiciary acted very well. In fact, the matter was decided very swiftly. From the time she was suspended, it was so fast. Okay, so judiciary no blame in this one at all, because the court is not Father Christmas. It was what was submitted to it that is decided upon. But I don't want us, like, again, to leave this matter for lawyers. This is not a lawyer thing. This is Nigeria's democracy, you know, at the risk of collapse. This is for all Nigeria to say no.
Have we passed the stage of alternative dispute resolutions? Because you rightly mentioned that the warring parties are lawyers. Or what we're seeing play out is a battle of egos. Since the 6 months has passed, I believe they're expecting maybe Senator Natasha should come and beg, okay, forgive me, I'm sorry. Or should she just write that letter, publish that thing, the prayers of the court, that she should apologize in dailies and let bygones be bygones, because this is dragging and it's becoming embarrassing.
Well,
it's taking
also if she's apologizing,
level.
is she not also accepting the fact that she has already served 6 months and she's not going back to her?
Or should both parties just hug it out? I don't know.
Which
Alternative.
So the thing is,
because it will still end up in the same Senate.
And she will still rise and send her prayers
every day. Yes.
the thing is this. In fact, if you study that judgment, you even discover that it was the Senate president that filed a motion to say apologize to me and to the court. It was not even apologize to the Senate.
Yeah.
You got what I'm saying?
Letter, yeah.
So it's a personal ego thing. And above all, she has challenged the fact, because the court ordered her to apologize. And she has challenged that. That is some of her grounds of appeal, to say the letter I wrote is a furtherance of expression of my right to freedom of expression. I'm not going to apologize. But if you are saying, and above all, like you said, you punished me. I have served the 6 months. You have denied me everything. So what am I really apologizing for?
What do you want again?
Exactly. We should not reduce democracy to this me, you, and I mean, it's not making sense. Let Nigerians speak up. Let's condemn this action. In fact, I'm disappointed with the opposition.
The PDP.
The PDP. She's a member of the PDP.
Yes, she is.
Why
Still
are they so
bona fide.
lily-livered? They can't come out to defend one of their own?
Well, is that how they came out?
One of them made a statement recently.
Maybe it's because she's a woman.
But
I mean, these things play.
No, I don't think it's because she's a woman. With PDP, what happened with Similar Life Obara? Is it not a man?
Exactly. They love to mind their business in that party.
They really mind their
party
business.
is a mind your own, mind your business.
Everybody should carry their own personal umbrella.
Exactly.
But that's not how a party should be run. It should be run based on
it's only
ideology.
Rihanna that say come under my umbrella. It's not PDP. Everybody stand for yourself.
No, but PDP is trying to put itself together.
Now.
So this is time for them to
I like
show
the
what
word you use, trying.
This is time to come out to say you can't do this.
Sometimes you can try for 10 years.
China hoping is never strategy.
But,
so the PDP, the Labour Party, and what have you, if they are still there, the opposition they have also failed Nigerians. The opposition have also behaved like, they are bringing, cash of 150 million, they will collect, loan approve. The eyes on the day she was suspended, how many voice? The usual, the yeah and the eyes. How many do you hear say nay? They kept quiet because perhaps they want some personal benefit from the...
So how do you see this playing out now? What's the end game? And if you could advise Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, what advice would you offer? Okay,
the advice I will give her at this point is she has exhausted all legal means, and the Senate is behaving in this manner. The Senate is on recess. So I am calling on Senator Natasha that when the Senate resumes, she should go and resume with her constituents. Nigerians should be with her. I mean, let it be on record. She cannot
there
just...
will be physical... I mean, she tried it before. She was physically prevented from getting entry into the National Assembly complex.
I know that attempt was during the pendency of the suspension. Okay, so this time, because I believe the Senate is actually the Senate of the Nigerian people. I believe they are listening to you. I believe they are listening to you and listening to the the voices of Nigerians and say this is wrong, this is wrong. I believe so. I believe so. So if they listen, I'm sure they would act differently this time.
You see, I think it's also good that we highlight where Nigeria has presumably dropped the ball in this case.
Okay.
Because there seems to be a few persons have spoken, some have not. So my question is, the Attorney General of the Federation and the Minister of
Justice.
No, let's focus on the Attorney General of the Federation.
I thought it was the Minister of FCC.
No. No. The Attorney General of the Federation, let's focus on that. Has he dropped the ball? Because sometimes we tend to blame the two persons who are fighting and the one who might have the power.
Or maybe the Attorney General of the Federation is respecting the principles of separation of powers.
I'm not stepping into the arena.
I'm part of the executive.
So that's what we're saying. So or should the president speak?
Or should the Senate president just rise above everything and, let bygones be bygones?
Again, I think I'll go back to what he said about the AG the Attorney General. I think that it's not a good look, really.
Exactly.
It's not a good look.
Especially with due respect, this current one,
Yes.
who was a respected, lawyer, because we heard the Vice President say that it was the Attorney General at the time that advised the President to say you cannot suspend this man. But what do we have today? They are suspending Fubara.
And he was in support of... No, not just...
He was
in support
He was actually in support of that.
He wasn't keeping quiet.
What type of presidents are you teaching Nigerians, teaching lawyers, teaching young people?
He's, like we say, the courts would only give you what you ask for. They have not come to him for interpretation or to...
No, it's not the court. We're talking of the Attorney
General. But still, it's not...
Nobody, if you recall when the River State governor was suspended, he was very much in support of that.
He was vocal.
It was the presidency.
Yes, he emphasized that the Constitution empowers the president to do what he did, So I think that's a completely different kettle of fish. I want to deviate slightly.
Okay.
The precedent, we've talked about the concern about what sort of precedent this issue with Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan sets. But what sort of precedent does it set in terms of female participation in politics? We don't have a lot of female lawmakers.
Even the female lawmakers, we always hear of women supporting women. They don't seem to.
The problem is that how can they even support women here when they don't even have the numbers? There's just how many of them?
2 or 3 of them.
4.
But at least they should start from somewhere. The 3. Can they not talk? So that's why sometimes when it comes to the issue of political representation, the issue of women and men, we want more women. But when they get there, they also behave like the men folk. They behave the same way. Many of them are trying to
maybe influence.
No, they're trying to curry favor from the powers that be. So, but again, this actually discourages.
Or maybe it's a generational
women.
thing too.
But this discourages a lot of women. The sledgehammer you are using to fight this fight, is because I believe women are not cut out for this type of battle. It is too much. So, it's not a good...
They're very cut out.
Really? Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan, she's an Amazon. She's a warrior.
Yes.
When they block the road, she uses a helicopter.
Exactly. Look at what she did to Yahaya Bello at elections. Nobody could have seen how they destroyed the roads.
She reminds me so much of this young lady here.
Thank you.
I hope you contest or something.
Please, I like just before we wrap up, I just want to ask. Are we going to see, is it a case of maybe one person handling 2 offices at the same time, which has proven to be difficult for him to take a stand? Talking about Senior Advocate of Nigeria, whom you've highlighted as very respected. Talking about Lateef Fagbemi. Yeah.
Yes.
If you're playing the role of the Minister of Justice and you're also playing the role of Attorney General of the Federation, is that the reason why there seems to be...
You don't have time. Or you have too many things on your hand.
No, I don't think so. I think it's a matter of political survivor. You have to rise above yourself. You have to be a man of honor. And to say, look, I'm here to just make a name and leave a legacy.
But it's a delicate balancing act. While sometimes if you overdo too, your guy
where
can
are
sack
these?
Exactly. That is the point of it. Let them sack you for good things. Make a history. President Goodluck Jonathan said...
Then he will lose the perks of office, escorts, the
festivities. But respected, he has his own, what's it called?
Leadership is supposed to be about service, isn't it? It's about service. Be a man of honor. Resign. We want to see politically, say, because of this policy, this is oppression, this is against the rule of law, I am tendering my resignation. Let us inspire the next generation. This is leadership. We're not doing well in that regard.
I think, like someone said, Nigerians, we do have what they call ogas, and we don't have leaders. Leaders lead. They lead by example.
We have
what
rulers.
We have here
rulers.
Rulers. They rule. They tell you this is what you are supposed to do. This way. Because in all of this conversation we've had, this just to wrap things up from my own end before, I think we need to call a spade a spade. We've seen that the Constitution has been bent. We don't need to mince words. All lawyers have said the same thing. So all lawyers cannot be wrong. I don't know if they can be wrong. So if it's been bent, therefore, is there any way to sugarcoat it or paint it? If it's bad, it's bad. So therefore, maybe we'll look up to the Attorney General of the Federation, the Minister of Justice. Maybe he should have a say on this.
He should make a statement.
Or let's see what happens. There might be a change of mind after the recess is over when they resume plenary. We'll just wait and see.
Then apart from that, the president of the country
I didn't want to go
also
there,
has
but
a role to play. It doesn't matter if this person is in opposition.
I feel they are
But he
stressing
has
Baba
many
too much.
issues that he's dealing with.
That's what I'm saying. I feel
Mr.
they are
President.
stressing him too much.
Everything, Mr. President.
That's why he needs to take a break.
Two people fight for Bachar, they will say Mr. President.
Jumape, let him breathe in.
So it's just a single directive. He can direct.
He's on the holidays now.
It's on a working vacation. It's not a
Akpabio to say,
holiday.
stop this thing. Let's
Working
be straight, and
vacation.
everything will be over.
I enjoyed the conversation.
My
Thank you so
colleague.
much. And thank you for making it
Thank you.
lighter, easier, and better to
Only
understand,
lawyers are
especially
allowed to shake themselves on this.
to
Lawyer.
us. Benga, we can wave like we're taking the airplane and we're going. Thank you so much. Yes, we can shake now.
Thank
Go
you
on the
very
break.
Welcome to Breakfast Headlines. We begin with health matters. President Bola Tinubu has reaffirmed his administration's commitment to overhauling Nigeria's health sector with a strong emphasis on tackling the persistent power supply crisis crippling the nation's hospitals. Represented by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, at the National Stakeholders Dialogue on Power in the Health Sector in Abuja on Tuesday, the President declared that no Nigerian should lose their life because of electricity interruptions in medical facilities. Tinubu described the situation as unacceptable and pledged that his government would prioritize sustainable energy solutions for health facilities nationwide. The Defense and Police Officers' Wives Association has launched a nationwide campaign to honor the sacrifices of Nigeria's fallen heroes. The president of DEPOA, Awowo Musa, during a visit to the Inspector General of Police in Abuja, says that the initiative is aimed at mobilizing citizens to appreciate the service of police and armed force personnel. She also announced plans for a Future Leaders Academy in Abuja, which will provide full scholarships for the children of fallen officers while creating opportunities for integration with surrounding communities.
We believe that no sacrifice should even go unrecognized, and that the nation must mobilize to say in one unified voice to our security forces. We see you, we salute you, we thank you. This 12-month nationwide initiative is designed to honor the sacrifices and courage our armed forces and police through grassroots mobilization, media campaigns, billboard, school programs, and visits such as this.
By standing with the Nigerian police force, the power has sent a clear message out that behind every uniformed man, it's a community of women who appreciate their service. That security institutions are not adversaries to the society, but its shield and its backbone. But let me assure you this afternoon that despite the weight of unfair criticism, the Nigerian police force will not waver.
And now to the energy sector. The Nigerian Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, NUPENG, has suspended its ongoing nationwide strike over its face-off with the Dangote Group. NUPENG had on Monday declared nationwide industrial action to protest the refusal of the Dangote Group to allow its workers to join the union, particularly NUPENG. It was gathered that the strike was called off after parties reached an agreement at a meeting convened by the Department of State Services, DSS. The meeting was attended by the Ministers of Labour and Finance, as well as officials of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA. And now to legislative matters. The National Assembly barred Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan from resuming her legislative duties, maintaining that her suspension remains under legal review. Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan, who represents Kogi Central, had initially informed the National Assembly on the 20th of August that she intended to return on the 4th of September, marking the end of her 6-month suspension. She referenced the Federal High Court ruling in July that declared her suspension excessive and unconstitutional and ordered her reinstatement. Despite this, the National Assembly insists the matter is still before the courts as appeals are ongoing. Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan also called for immediate access to her office, emphasizing her constitutional right to resume full senatorial functions and the need to prepare for upcoming plenary sessions. And now to some politics. Stakeholders of the Ijo and Urhobo ethnic nationalities are urging the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to immediately release and implement the final report of the Warri Federal Constituency Representation Exercise. The stakeholders made this demand during a demonstration at the headquarters of INEC in Abuja, where they also submitted a petition signed by 16 representatives of the affected ethnic groups. They called on INEC to suspend the ongoing continuous voters registration exercise in Warri North, Warri South, and Warri Southwest local government areas of Delta State until the representation report is made public and implemented.
We are fully abreast with the legal attempts and undue influences from various quarters to derail or truncate the process. We were invited to various stakeholder meetings by electoral officials in Warri North, Warri South, Warri Southwest local government areas, informing us that you have commenced the continuous voter restriction exercise in the aforementioned LGAs using the defunct arrangement which fell face down in the eyes of the law. Our patience and cooperation is being taken for granted as you have set machinery in place to disenfranchise us from participating in future elections. We can no longer wait while our democratic rights, guaranteed by the Constitution and reaffirmed by the...
And now let's head to Central Africa. Fighters linked to the Islamic State group killed 71 people in an overnight attack in the Democratic Republic of Congo's east. The Allied Democratic Forces, ADF, a group founded by former Ugandan rebels who pledged alliance to ISIS in 2019, struck the village of Ntoyo in North Kivu province while residents were attending a funeral. It follows a string of deadly raids by the Muslim militia across North Kivu and neighboring Ituri province to the north in July and August, killing more than 100 civilians and shattering several months of relative calm in the region. The ADF had already killed more than 40 people in attacks on several settlements in the Bapere sector on August 10th and 14th. And now to Ethiopia, where Ethiopia has officially inaugurated the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, marking a major milestone for Africa's largest hydroelectric power project. The $5 billion dam built on the Blue Nile near the Sudanese border is expected to generate over 5,000 megawatts of electricity, more than doubling Ethiopia's current capacity. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed hailed the project as a symbol of national pride and economic prosperity.
ለኢትዮጵያ ብቻ ሳይሆን ለጥቁር ህዝቦች በሙሉ ምድር እስክትሰበሰብ ታሪክ ሆኖ የሚኖር ታላቅ ገድል ነው። በፍጹም በፎቶ በቪዲዮ በንግግር መግለጥ አይቻልም። መጥቶ ያየ ሰው ብቻ ነው ልኩን መገንዘብ የሚችለውና ኢትዮጵያውያን ይህ ትውልድ የሰራውን ገድል እየመጣ እንዲመለከት ምኞቴ ጸሎቴ ሲሆን ለተቆረው የጥቁር ሕዝብ በሙሉ ደግሞ ግብዣዬ ነው። ጥቁሮች እንደምንችል ጥቁሮች እንደምናሳካ በጥቁር ዘር ታሪክ የመጀመሪያው ታላቅ ሥራ ህዳሴ ነው።
The dam reservoir is completely filled. We have demonstrated with facts what was before fruit of estimate and calculation, not harm or damage to the water flow in the downstream countries. There was a time in which I came here and Addis Ababa was dark. There was no light. Power shed every day and there was no light for the people. Now it was a nation into the darkness. Now there is light everywhere. Now Ethiopia can sell energy to the neighboring country. You imagine that?
And that's all at this hour. Breakfast Central now continues.
Welcome back. Let's take a look at the papers right now, and you can be part of it. Remember, the phone lines are open, so you can start calling as we take a look at some of the very interesting headlines that we have here for you on the front pages of the newspapers. We do have our guest who's here with us to analyze things and also the big stories. We have Mr. Akatuba who's here with us. Thank you so much for being here.
Best analyst in West Africa.
Really?
Yes. Great to have you.
Every morning he wakes up. We don't know the bed he woke up from.
Every day.
Anyway, let's start off immediately because we have a lot to talk about, a whole lot. Let's start off with Daily Independence. That will be our very first paper to look at.
Because we are very independent.
Yes, very much. You can count on us. The front page there of Daily Independent has it. Federal government rules out immediate enforcement of 5% fuel tax. They had better. That's just me adding.
No, I mean, we're just kicking the can forward. I think this is postponing doomsday. They didn't say they are not going to do it. And they said they didn't start it. But the enforcement won't start immediately.
They said
immediately is, I mean, the English means it won't start in the next few months. But if it kicks off in January as proposed, that's not immediately.
January. They said it's not January anymore.
Okay,
it's not January.
It's not January.
They should just cancel it.
They said it's not January.
Because
says it's not new tax created by Tinubu administration. So who created it? Anyway, let's not go into analysis. We have an analyst in the house. What's wrong? Another story here says, federal government says Tinubu's share policy aims to elevate Nigeria to global leadership. Okay. PDP condemns attempt to stop Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan from resuming. Ask her to prepare.
You see, PDP, the new PDP is now talking.
I love this PDP. Greatest Baba.
CBN targets CBN targets $1 billion diaspora reserves by 2026. Nupeng suspends strikers. Dangote settles for unionization.
Oh, wow.
Not a mouthful. Tinubu addressing weaknesses others before him failed to handle, says Shetima. Let's start with the very big one. PDP telling Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, go and resume. Let's start with that.
In fact, before PDP, Senate, first of all, saying to Natasha, you cannot resume.
Don't call more.
If she sent a notice on the 28th of September, of August, that she's resuming on the 4th of September, and she tried to resume, and did not allow her to resume, then let's talk about that one first, before we talk about
the whole thing. Let's talk about
the whole matter.
Everything.
Everything about the entire thing.
Well, you know, the matter of Senator Natasha, I see it as something that should be resolved politically. And I thought that by this time, they would have gone behind the scene to do the political
alternative dispute mechanisms,
discussions. But they are using more legalistic approach.
Legal and egotistic.
Egotistic. And if you go that route, you tend to complicate the issue. And you know, political matters don't seem to have a one-fit solution. And you begin to hear and see what is happening. Now, it's becoming more politicized. And once you go that way, and you don't go behind the scene to try to resolve the issue, it becomes protracted. And that is what I see. They are driving her in that direction, and she needs to be very careful so that she does not jeopardize.
I mean, she's the aggrieved party here. So how do you mean by she needs to be careful?
Because she has, fundamentally, she offended the Senate rules, and she has not apologized for that. She has not, retract herself and commit herself to good behavior. And so the Senate still continue to weigh the big stick as a collective. She's not dealing with an individual.
But she did give the reasons for that in the first place.
Well,
the allegations of sexual harassment.
No. That was an afterthought. She did not accuse anybody of harassment before she was suspended. Before she was shouted down on the day she stood in the wrong place, sat in the wrong chair. There was no sexual harassment allegation.
But that doesn't negate the fact that there was a sexual harassment claim, because I would imagine that the claim of a sexual harassment claim, oftentimes people who are being sexually harassed don't always know how to handle it in the moment. And things may have spiraled out of control. They may have been pushed to the wall. Some people choose, I know this because I've interacted with a number of women who have been sexually harassed. Sometimes they don't want to talk about it. Sometimes they're second-guessing themselves because they don't want society to be judged. And then if you get them, you then push them to the wall, you then make them say what they... I mean, this is not to say whether the Senate President did it or didn't do it. But I don't think that her saying it after the debacle in the House invalidates that claim.
Well,
it's whether or not it happened.
I have not spoken to the claim. I have only restricted myself to the fact that she offended the Senate and she broke their rules and they applied their laws. Now, about the harassment, I'm sure it's being dealt with according to the law. Their investigative panels were set up and the matter is being looked at. So there are many issues. I'm only looking at the resumption, and that is not related to the sexual harassment.
But why do you think this
She's not out of the Senate because of sexual
why do you think this is dragging?
Well, it's...
Because we've had suspensions in the past.
Exactly.
Senator Dino Melaye, Ove Omagege, and they didn't even spend...
because they must have played politics behind the scene. You see, in Nigeria...
Not because they're men.
Because they are men.
Okay.
You know, what is happening, Senator Natasha is being prodded on, supported, and bolstered to make so many mistakes. She needs to come to the understanding that she's a politician and she got voted into the office through political structures. She needs to return to those backdoor negotiations.
But do you agree and understand that she might also be bullied, for lack of a better word, because she's a woman and her position?
Her fellow women, she didn't have their support.
There are few of them.
No,
Very few.
Whatever it is, she needs, if you are a politician and there is a cause you are fighting, what is politics? It's about the support base that you have. This is a political environment. You are in the Senate and you cannot say if it's about being treated because of her gender, then one or two women should find it offensive and support her.
Well,
that's what I think.
If there are only 4 women there, they are not able to muster that level of influence.
No, they didn't even have her back.
They didn't have her back.
They came opposite of her opinion immediately she was on TV, including those who have left the Senate. I'm looking for those senators, the women, even ex-Senate women, senators.
Do you mean Senator Florence Itagiwa?
Yes, she didn't support her too, saying that she was immature. You see what I'm saying? She has a case. She should prosecute it properly. She should do proper politics to return to the House. When she's there, then she begins to prosecute.
I mean, it's a House of lawmakers. She's a lawmaker. It's the Senate President and the Senate leadership that is preventing her from... She served her punishment. It's 6 months has elapsed. Now there's coming up with saying that the case is prejudiced, which we had a lawyer earlier, and majority opinion from lawyers is saying, that argument doesn't hold water. So the Senate has to be the bigger institution.
The problem,
And
many Nigerian lawyers
let's
also,
move on.
Sometimes we've had many issues in this country where lawyers take, divergent opinion. Eventually, we come to a congress of opinion. What I'm just saying, for her to resume, I expect her to play politics so that she goes back to the house. I feel she's not done that. Rely more on legal standpoint, being oppressed, and this.
But they're not doing her a favor when you say she should play politics. It's her right. And the people of our constituency need representation. They've been deprived for the last 6 months.
Thank you for mentioning that. People of our constituency have been deprived of representation. The Constitution provides for the minimum number of days a senator should have sat in plenary, right? I think it's 181 days. And finally, there was a court judgment. The court judgment talked about this, her suspension and the 6 months being excessive.
Yeah.
So you would assume that the interpretation of that would mean that 6 months is too much, let her return to the House. But now they're saying that they can't do that. Is the Senate above the Nigerian judiciary?
No, that's not above Nigerian law. The law, I'm not talking of judiciary. We are all under the law. So for
the
me,
law is interpreted
that
by the
particular
judiciary,
judgment
or the law is
only
given
made
by...
a statement,
Yeah.
not a directive. This is why the Senate was able to, to avoid the law, not to implement it. That statement is just opinion of the judge.
Advisory.
Yes, advisory. It didn't say, I now order that the Senate should recall her. There was nothing like that.
Well, anyway, we'll come back to this. But just to mention to our audience, if you'd like to share your thoughts on this, please, you can join. We're streaming live on YouTube, and you can call and give your thoughts. The numbers to call are on your TV screen. We want to take your call. We want to hear your thoughts. We'll come back to Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan's case, but let's still go to other conversations. Maybe let's quickly look at another paper on the front page of the Punch newspaper. The Punch newspaper says that doctors to decide on nationwide strike today. NARD's NEC meets to review government's response to demands. NAMED decries $1 billion yearly spending on medical tourism. Tinubu restates commitment to health sector transformation, vows to end hospital crisis with hybrid solutions. PDP, SAN's protest. The Senate blocks Natasha's return. 5 soldiers terrorists feared killed in Zamfara clash. Oshun Kingmakers reject move to dethrone jailed monarch. Vehicle theft, 3 Nigerians jailed 96 years in Ghana. South Africa dents Eagles World Cup hopes after stalemate.
I want to talk about that.
Okay.
I mean, the doctor's strike is very important, but the monarch, you've been caught doing credit card fraud. You brought the institution of kingship to disrepute, and then people are rejecting moves to dethrone him. Why?
That it should be dethroned?
Yes, but there's opposition to the call that it should be dethroned.
It's an instant dethrone. It's disgraced, it's brought opprobrious. It's disgraced dethrone. Such a man should not sit a day longer.
But they would say, the disgrace was outside the show.
Outside the show. Wherever in the
territorial
world,
jurisdiction.
The crown is not restricted to territory. He's been crowned a king, and whatever he has done anywhere in the world is direct impact on the throne he sits on.
I wonder how those American warders will be treating him.
No, they'll treat him very ordinarily like they treat anybody else.
Your Royal Majesty, you have two portions of beans.
To them, he's a local king.
Wow.
Very local.
Okay, we'll come back to
criminal record.
We'll come back to talk about the king, but let's take this call from Ada. Ada is calling from Ikeja. Good morning, Ada.
Good morning. My name is Ada, and I'm calling from Ikeja.
Good morning.
Thank you very much, Ada, for calling. Please go ahead.
Yes, I'm going to say something concerning the Natasha thing. You see, women, wherever we are supposed to make positive difference. And when we stand out, most men are really intimidated. If you look at Natasha, her presence alone commands so much respect. She's beautiful, she's intelligent, and she intimidates most of the guys there. So that is what I see there. On her representation as a senator, I think she should be allowed to represent her people. If she has anything with the Senate president, that is their business. They can go and sort it out. But for people or for Mr. Chefilot there to say she should have apologized or play politics behind, no, I don't subscribe to that. When we start doing that as women, then we'll be compromised. So they should please recall that woman. She deserves to be there. She's just an example of one of Nigerian women that are being victimized all over Nigeria in different sectors. You understand? So my point is, one, we should let her come back. Number two, our judiciary is not trying at all. Our judiciary is not trying at all. Then our president should also intervene. See how quick he was to intervene in the Fubara and Wike issue. Why is he dragging his foot on this one? So that is what I'm saying. And I also think that women also should rise up and protest. All women, not just the senators there. All women should rise up to support Natasha. We should have a protest. I can leave if I'm allowed. Thank you. Mr. Tipulos, mind your words. You are women, though. Don't let us come against you. Thank you.
Don't let them
Don't let us come against
Don't let them
you.
boycott you.
I love women so much, and I promote their cause, but women also do not want to hear the hard truth.
Which is?
That is one of the weaknesses of the gender woman, and they know it. The fact that I said she should do politics doesn't mean that other men don't play it. I'm only speaking to you that humility is also part of the political game.
But you're expressing your opinion.
I'm speaking.
It's not a fact, it's your opinion.
It's your opinion.
Hold on. Okay. Am I speaking other people's opinion?
No, it's your opinion.
This is my opinion.
Yes.
But
And if you listen well between the lines, you will learn from what I said. I believe that the ornament of a meek and quiet spirit does great wonders.
So if you're saying that Natasha should be humble here,
Make
she's not
her
the only
quiet that
person
would
here.
accept
See,
oppression.
Nigeria has a way. People can bolster you with support on social media in public space and ruin your path if you follow them. Because you in this country, I've seen many people who want public support and they make so many mistakes. And eventually, just like Fubara, I was speaking to you here. Fubara was given that popular support. And eventually, what is he doing? He went to negotiation alone.
I just want to
So
read.
when I say men have a way they solve it, she should just play some politics and forget about the public
Can I read the
of
judgment?
return or no return.
Can I quickly read the judgments from Justice Nyako? Justice Nyako said that no legislative chamber has the power to whimsically or arbitrarily suspend a lawmaker in a manner that robs the electorate of representation. The court held that the suspension lacked legal foundation, violated Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan's right to fair hearing, and was carried out without adherence to any known legislative procedure or established rules of natural justice. The court went further to say such action cannot stand in the eyes of the law. The judge declared it is not just wrong, it is illegal, unjustifiable, and an affront to the democratic structure of this country. The court further ruled that while the Senate President has administrative authority to assign seats, that discretion does not extend to disenfranchising a duly elected senator or denying her access to the legislative floor. So all of these.
Was that
it was quoted.
Was that the directive? Was that the final judgment, or this is the opinion, the observation of the judge? Because you can make all this.
You know what?
Do you give a directive?
All right.
We now hereby order the Senate to recall her.
All right. You know what? Hold on. Let's quickly take this call and then we'll come back to it. And I have a feeling it's about the same matter. We have Chude calling from Lagos. Good morning, Chude. Thank you very much for calling.
Good morning, and Genga and Co. Can you hear me very well?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Chofinos in the studio, I want to believe that you are a Nigerian and you live in Nigeria. Naturally, let me be frank with you. Women are good leaders. No matter how you look at it, women are good leaders. And I thank God for bringing out Natasha issue. Because a lot of men will always hide back and do this thing this woman is talking about. Now, let me put it this way. The court, they suspended her because she broke the rule of the Senate. Am I correct? That is the offense she committed, and that is why they suspended her. They did not suspend her because she went to court to challenge anything. That is what. And now her suspension has ended, and you want her to come and write to you, appeal to you, beg you to come back. I mean, let me tell you, the Senate is making nonsensical of the whole thing. Sometimes you begin to ask yourself questions. Those people there, are they real men? Are they men? Are they real, what we call real men? Or are they boys? What are they doing? Making nonsense of the whole thing. Akpabio is trying to, it's a case of vendetta to have a pound of flesh because the woman disgraced him. Let me just put it that way. The woman disgraced him. And so he couldn't stand that shame. And that is why he's doing what they are doing. If I were Akpabio, I will advise him to cover his face in shame. Quietly let this matter go down. Nigerians have already forgotten this matter. But their action, what they did, now resurrected the whole thing. And he's created all problems for himself. The people of Kogi Central have been denied that opportunity. Don't you think that Nigerians have to rise up in defense of democracy? Don't you think that people should be en route to stop these shenanigans going on? Nigerians should wake up. We are too cold to tolerate this nonsense. For me, it's an arrant nonsense. It's an immature behavior. What they are doing is like children playing. You know when children fight, and that is what they are doing in the Senate. Is that what we elected them to do? Is this our problem? The woman has been shouting, you are creating a barrier again. Nigerians should be on the road. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you very much for your thoughts.
All right. Anyway, let's.
I want to take a few comments from YouTube before we get back.
Go on.
Lillian Oloha says, the fight to get Natasha back to the Senate is not for the NBA alone. It's a fight all Nigerians should come out for, especially Natasha's constituents, Kogi Central, whose rights of being represented is being trampled upon. Injustice to one section of Nigeria is injustice to all sections. And then she sends a personal message to me, says, my friend at the bar, I'm proud of you, but it's not everything we will call MBA. You, your colleagues and other Nigerians can come out and carry simple placards to register our grounds against the Senate. And then Clarity says, Senator Natasha has served the duration of her suspension. Whatever case is in the court should not be a reason for the Senate to deny her resumption of plenary.
This is why I just advise political solution to avoid protracted arguments in the public space. She should be very smart. She should speak more with her husband. They should apply politics and resolve this behind the scene. That's my advice.
Well, it's whether politics then trumps legality.
Anyway.
But then, let's move to other
Punch.
stories. Still on the Punch, newspaper, at the top of the Punch, Nupeng suspends strike as Dangote accepts union's demands.
So Nupeng won that battle?
No,
Not really.
Nupeng is victory for Labour. Dangote has a very good reason to take a decision, though not supported by law. Dangote's decision and policy appear to be against labor laws, as enshrined in our constitution and the International Labour Organization. Workers have a right to unionize. But Dangote has a history. You understand that Nupeng has been infiltrated. Nupeng has not served a positive purpose. Even those who are leading Nupeng, there are so many things they have done over the years that have made the practice of transporting petroleum products across this country a bit, difficult, challenged, and could be damaging to the interest of the citizens. It is for this reason, particularly, that Dangote decided to take control of the logistics to move product from his refinery to the final user. So he looked at it and saw the future. I've seen, even in Ghana, I've seen organizations that prohibit their workers from unionizing with the bigger union.
But in Nigeria, that's not
In
constitutional.
Nigeria, that is against the law. It's not legally right. So Dangote's decision has brought us to a conversation. Has NUPEN done well in the past? Has NUPEN contributed to the progress of this petroleum sector? The current way of operation of NUPEN will not truncate Dangote's effect if tomorrow they go on incessant strikes and our petroleum products are available and
could be held to ransom.
Yes. So Dangote is just trying to play safe because he's invested so much and he doesn't want to play politics because most of those unions are politicized.
And like Joe rightfully asked the NUPEN representative that we had on yesterday, that why are they not looking at the moribund refineries?
Why are they not,
working? Why are they not
fighting?
protesting?
Why don't sit with the federal government and say we will not lift if you don't fix these things?
That's it. They keep saying the same thing and they are not making any progress for many years. Now that Dangote has come, the battle has shifted to Dangote's doorstep.
Imagine.
They are not even protesting about the refineries that
are not working. And
they were the same people that said they were working.
Yes, they were the same people that said it was working.
That were lifting products. So every of the Nigerian union before now have been politicized. And those who sit in there are political members of political practitioners who put them there in order to direct affairs, including those who don't mean well for this country, including the cabals who want to frustrate the petroleum sector.
They mentioned it as well, that there are cabals who are not making sure that the refineries don't work. Anyway, we have Joseph calling from Jalingo. Good morning, Joseph.
Hello, good morning, Joseph from Jalingo, Taraba.
Into you. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we
we can.
Go ahead.
Please, I want Mr. Theophilus to throw more light on what he means by political solution in the Natasha issue. Number two, this issue has been raised up to the Supreme Court of Appeal. It was actually agreed that the Senate cannot extend more than two weeks suspension for someone who was elected by a constituent. If that issue was agreed upon at the Court of Appeal, I really believe that Justice Binta should have relied on a judgment of the Court of Appeal to settle this matter, not just giving an incoherent judgment that the Senate is wrong, they should call her. There is a definite distinction. Return Natasha back to the overhead, to the Senate. The people of, Central, Akpoti Central, I think in fact, they are not being represented as it is. There is a Senate to consider what is happening all that time. Nigerians are not feeling happy. They are boiling within themselves. Look at what is happening in Nepal. The whole parliament of Nepal is no more because of this type of issue. Please, senators, have a restraint. Give us good sense of representation. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph from Jalingo.
All right, go ahead and explain, please.
What do you mean by political solution?
Well, like I said before, political solutions are not things they are not black and white, they are not 1+2. I just meant that when Fubara knew that the legal approach, the public opinion and all the noise will not resolve it, he went behind this thing.
And did that yield a positive result?
Absolutely.
That's
and we started seeing movement. Yes.
That's to you, but a number of people, because we have our those who do research in Rivers State.
Whatever research you are doing.
And Fubara is not coming back as the governor that, according to what the Rivers people are saying.
It's almost handicapped.
He's almost handicapped.
Can I say something? First, in everything in life, you negotiate to get things done. Fubara hands are tied, he gets into office, he loses the hands. Why you people just say political? If you don't use maturity, you will not get anything. Even in the wars that we fight in the world, Donald Trump has been fighting other solutions than the bomb. And they have been discussing, showing, there's a photo ops, walking red carpet. These are political solutions to big issues. There is always a way out.
Okay.
I don't know what the way out is.
We live in a combative generation. Everybody's thinking combat is the only way. No. Natasha has finished serving. There are one or two things can be done in a minute, and all this matter would die off.
But I'm thinking, what are the one or two things that can be done? Why
don't want to say
why does the money have to be on
Natasha?
her?
Exactly.
Why not on the Senate President? Why not? Why is it
to her? If you want to resolve an issue, somebody must start the discussion. The Senate President must also bend over backward to resolve the matter.
Because in this case, if we're advising, they should tell him to be the bigger person here. Because this feels very...
He's the one that is very vindictive, if you don't remember. You know, he's one accused, scandalized. So you need to find a solution. The Senate, generally, are protective of the Senate. You can see the way they are rallying around the Senate President. See, don't joke with the institution of the Senate is very, very, they call it hallowed chamber. They don't want to, even their members are impugn their integrity, they deal with them swiftly.
Hallowed chamber, and they were singing on your mandate.
So what, it's called hallowed because it is expected to be hallowed. I won't say it's not hallowed.
But the reality is
if you tell somebody that you are a thief and he has not stolen, the day he steals, they feel he has not done anything. So let Nigerians continue to call them hallowed. We call everybody His Excellency.
Hallowed
is
be
there
thy
any
name.
excellency really? But Your Excellency.
The only person I say hello to is my almighty father. Like Benga said.
Yes, like I'm so happy I don't have any court case, because if I enter the court, I can never tell a judge, my lord.
So, Taraba friend, I'm not going to be able to tell you. I use the word political negotiation just to give you an idea.
So just find political negotiation in your terms simply is
an alternative
public opinion doesn't work, the judiciary does. Find the alternative solution.
I think the shameful side in all of this is then highlight again what, like I said earlier, what is the weight of legal positions?
Yes.
What is the weight of
the law?
The law.
But we saw the law.
What is the weight of the
law did not give direct...
That's what Joseph was saying, that Justice Inyako should have given the final directive.
Order was not given. Opinion expressed is not an order.
If the judge expressly says that it is illegal, it is... I mean, I had read it earlier, I should probably go and look for it. But at the end of the day, I think maybe what should have been done would have been to go back to court for direct interpretation of what that meant. Maybe.
Exactly.
So that it's clear for all to see, because at the end of the day, what we then see is there'll be a lot of foul play, everyone giving their own interpretation, which honestly doesn't make sense. But let's quickly look at the Daily Trust. We're almost out of time. Big story, how floods swept away two sisters. Others in Zaria. This is really sad.
Daily Trust.
It happened in the Tudunjukun area of Zaria. It was further gathered that the bodies of an 18-year-old lady, Fatima Sani Danmarke, a student of the School of Basic and Remedial Studies, Fumtma, and another student, Yusuf Surajo, popularly known as Abba, were recovered at the Nabawa Primary School Bridge in Tudunwada, Zaria. This is really sad.
They also have why suicide. I mean, the Daily Trust, if you study their pattern, they
report
more human angle.
Human angle. And
if the other papers are not reporting about number of people killed, Daily Trust will definitely report it, and it will be on the front
and
page.
it's a positive thing. So we know it's not all huru.
Life is about human beings. That's why you see the same thing happen in some other media, international media. They go into, if they are reporting about the war, they don't report the political part of the war, they report the human impact of the war. And so this is a very good thing happening in Nigeria. At least somebody is focusing on people, on the human beings. Like I said, nothing happens unless you resolve the quality of the human beings. Today, we're talking about the Senate and Natasha. It's about the people. It's about human behavior. So I believe that if we behave properly in Nigeria, as always, we don't need a court order to know that Natasha has finished serving at 10.
Exactly.
And she should automatically return.
Period.
But because of the human challenges, like I keep addressing it, that bring me here and I have opportunity to speak about the quality of the Nigerian human, which I think we must invest and spend time on reforming and producing and progress and promoting, everything look complicated when it's not supposed to be so.
Anyway, wrapping things up because our time is up already. Nigeria's 2026 World Cup hopes uncertain after South Africa draw.
Yes.
And the South Africans they didn't put us in their World Cup final stadium, FNB Stadium in Johannesburg. They took us to Bloemfontein.
Yes.
It looked like venue of Principal's Cup.
Yes, so that to make sure the Eagles do not do well. That is part of the football played before the football.
The politics of football.
The football.
So you see, so Natasha should play politics.
I said it now. The
let's use
with South
football
Africans, South Africans did not stop us. We stopped ourselves. You know, the Nigerian Super Eagles have a way of stopping themselves. When they are supposed to do well, they should have done better earlier.
We always wait for last minute.
We always look for
Fire
last minute.
brigade.
We always wait for
Maybe Falcons should have played for
We
us.
don't have the squad. What I see, we have players, but we don't have the
Individual
team
stars,
that will
yeah.
give us our expectation. Because these are footballers that have come from different parts with different football ideology and philosophy.
But they'll tell you the same appears it happens in basketball.
Look,
in
You
the
have not
Tigers.
These Falcons have
different
collected
basketballers who have played.
$100,000. That's a lot of money in this economy. They should play both male and female football.
So for me, Nigeria is always. I
Always waiting for
hope they
permutation.
can do it. I see South Africa with 17 points, and we are still at 11.
Permutation.
It's
what if this one lose? This one lose. We'll get
Nah,
1 point.
it's out of our hands. It's out of our hands.
And regard to women?
No, who dishonor women?
I'm just mentioning.
Can I say the word honor and dishonor? Who dishonors
Okay,
women?
to recognize.
We are trying to
encourage
but what
them.
we're doing in this world every day is to honor women. It's women that are giving us the challenges, that are giving us. Many women do dishonorable things, and we are fighting back. Yes.
The corruption? Is it women that brought Nigeria to this
corrupt the
state
society,
today?
you start with the women.
Nah,
The women
I
are always the
disagree with
beginning
you.
of all the corruption
You
in the
know,
world.
I'm just very happy that we're getting to the end of the show. If not, you'll have seen how the phone line.
That was there. I think that
I want the phone line to open and
please call us back in this.
That's why
No, it's
can
too
you
late.
give me an
30
opportunity
seconds.
to
He'll be
drive
back
home my
next
point.
week.
What I'm saying is that women, one man said women are great leaders. Yes, indeed. But are we doing, is it because the Falcons are doing well, then the men need to rise to the occasion? I don't have anything against women in any way. I believe that women should understand.
I have 2 million things
We
to
have
say.
to call our MD and extend this program.
Just to say, I mean, Mr. Akatuba,
Be careful with
Mr.
what you
Akatuba
say.
has said that, women are the foundation of a lot of the challenges, a lot of the bad things that have happened.
Yes.
And I completely disagree with that.
I know where he's taking you to. He's taking you to the
disagree
Garden
too.
of
I
Eden.
completely disagree with that.
He's taking you to the
Well,
Garden
if we
of
go back to
Eden.
the Garden of Eden.
Who ate the
reason-
apple?
Eve ate the apple. But that was because, and if Adam had self-control, and presence of mind, to be able to say no. When Eve,
He should
when
rise
Eve
above
gave him,
temptation.
he had no boundaries.
But
He could not
I
say
agree
no.
with you on this.
Here was he when he was speaking to serpents.
Okay.
He went
He
to-
had
I
a
went to walk
responsibility.
now.
Do you see the
But when
point?
she gave him apple, he ate.
see the
He
point?
not guessing.
He went to walk now.
Which one?
Oliver, I
Adam
agree
went
with
to
you.
walk. He had a day-to-day job.
So Eve is jobless now.
No, Eve was come
They
and help
were
him.
both
She was helping
tending
him
the
from
garden.
the back end.
People
He
should not
had
allow
to
me
work.
be angry. I know we
It
have
was
made it.
Kwame Nkrumah that said women hold up the other half of the sky. We should revere women.
I agree with you, my feminist
What I
brother.
will not,
Thank you.
what I want to do is that if we have time to discuss such a topic,
We will
the
discuss
audience
about the
and our
impact of
public
women in
will look at-
politics.
will be very
I will
enlightened.
bring you.
What we must not do is to hastily demonize somebody who says something that does not fit into the fancy of everybody.
But what we must not do as well
No, we
is,
must gaslight.
is to jump into a, what you've done is a fallacy of hasty generalization.
No, I did not.
Because what
I
you
used
have
the
said,
word because you didn't give me chance to...
No, what you
to
said,
drive.
women are the foundation. Is that statement time?
It's
Women
a
are the
quote.
foundation.
I made a quote.
From who?
I will tell you. If you want to corrupt a society, you start with the women.
Who gave the quote?
No, I said it's my quote.
Okay.
And I will expand it for you.
Okay.
Next week,
We will bring it back on Monday. We have to have this conversation.
We'll have a
On
date
Monday,
next
right?
And then we're going to look at it from...
not Monday.
No,
Monday
please,
is
let's
too
start it on Monday. Please. And then we'll talk about it. Yes, let's start about
We
it
have to
on Monday.
finish this battle.
And we're going to bring women.
We can do it
And
on
then
Friday.
No, not on Friday, because unfortunately I will not be around.
Thanks.
So let's have women
Thanks
in politics
for joining
and have
us.
this conversation.
Lovely day. Only,
Thanks
It's a
for
long
joining us.
video,
Thanks
but
for
we must
watching.
finish
This is how we end the
this
show, all right?
I
Yes.
like that.
See you guys. Bye-bye.